Next step on the 58 is getting the clutch and bell housing and transmission in. We dropped the motor in the chassis yesterday. Motor's pretty much all put back together, long block, manifold, water pump, and so forth. And spent a lot of time last time just detailing parts. Get everything apart, clean everything up before it goes back together. So today I'm just going to get the clutch and the pilot bushing in there, and the pressure plate. You can see there's one shiny bolt on the bottom left. I went at it with an electric 3/8 cordless impact gun, which I shouldn't have, and sure enough I snapped that bolt off in the flywheel. We got it drilled out and extracted, so that's ready to go. So if you remember, everything was red or orange. So last time we just spent a little bit of time cleaning up different component. So I got a coat of Eastwood paint on the bell housing. Got the throw-out bearing back in there. Just painted up the different things. Got the Eastwood detail gray on the lower shield or inspection plate, or whatever they call it on this car. I think the original was natural steel, so that's supposed to duplicate it as close as possible. So let's get the bell housing in and work on getting the transmission in. Now that the bell housing has been all refinished and painted, we've got that installed, and got the flywheel cover on. Transmission's in. Just threw a quick coat of paint on that. And the big thing with the transmission was that prior, the transmission mount was bolted to the cross member right here, but it was just a rubber pad, and the transmission was just kind of sitting on it. It wasn't even bolted to it. So I was able to find on eBay again a new old stock transmission mount that went to this transmission, and I've been calling it a top-loaded transmission, but it's not a top loader. It's just a 4-going or 4-speed, I guess. It's got a side cover there, so it's not a top loader. But regardless, I found a new old stock transmission mount, and with this combination it doesn't even come close to fitting the cross member. So I had to drill 2 holes through the top of the cross member and then blow 2 holes through the bottom to get the nuts and washers there to bolt the transmission mount down. So aesthetically, not the best. Functionally, it should be fine. So if my guys give me too much shit about it, what I'll do is I'll just get a drum, carbon drum bit, and clean up those holes a bit, even them out. Get that done later, but for now it's most important just get the transmission bolted in. Okay, we're back with another night on the 58 Ford. Tonight the goal is to get the rear end assembled. I got the differential back from the machine shop and get the housing all painted previously, and we just bolted it in. The differential is, I got a little help tonight, friend Eric. The differential, which I thought was an 8-inch stock Ford, was actually a 9-inch. So the first traction lock was returned and a new one purchased. And then the ring gear, which I thought was a 370 ratio, ended up being a 300. So none of this rear end was original to the car. So the machine shop put a 350 ratio ring and pinion in there, and we have the new traction lock carrier in there as well. Alright, the third member's back in. So we're in the process of detailing, of cleaning up and painting the backing plates. We get those bolted on next. So the rear end's back in, we got the third member bolted in, the axles, the backing plates, and I just gotta have to show you this. The previous owner, the hot rodder from the 60s who put this together originally, how committed he was. Painted the wheel cylinders, the equalizer bar, and the retainer bar white. So that's commitment.
I would say question mark.
Commitment question mark. But anyways, that's 60s hot rods for you. Another night on the 58 Ford. Not exactly sure what I videoed the last time in. No, we got the differential installed. Not quite, not even tightened down yet. The U-bolts are still loose, but the third member's in. Axles, seals. Shoes have been all cleaned up. Painted the drums. We also were able to get the fuel tank back in. Had to make a U-bolt for this driver's side strap. I foolishly lost one of them. I don't know how. It will turn up eventually, but piece of 3/8 threaded rod bent over. Will do the trick fine, but the original one will turn up, I'm sure. So that's done. Well, that's enough work for another night. The rear end got back together. Got the drums on, all painted, the shoes all cleaned and adjusted. So tomorrow I can get a straight edge on the drum or the end of the axle and find out where the center line of the wheel would be and compare it to the leaf spring and the inner fender and decide what kind of offset, back spacing, width wheel, and size tire we can squeeze under there. So that's good, and at least I can put some rollers on here and roll the car out of the shop so I can use this bay for actual business. On the front, didn't get a whole lot done today. I got the modern starter with the built-in Bendix drive rather than the one with the external Bendix drive, and that bolted right up. Hopefully it meshes with the flywheel properly, but we'll test that when we put power to it. I'll save the original starter just in case. As far as the alternator, I tried to install the modern one wire plus a ground alternator, and the brackets for the old generator. I've tried them every combination and they're not going to work. So I'm currently on eBay looking for alternator brackets from a 65 or newer FE block, and hopefully they bolt to this water pump and I can mount this bad boy correctly. So the accessory is going to prove to be the biggest issue. The water pump is nothing like the original one. As you can see, the water pump shaft is a normal length, short, and this original water pump down here that in hindsight I probably should have rebuilt and kept it. It's got this long shaft on it, so the pulleys aren't lining up correctly. I custom machined a spacer here. That should take care of it, but even that's still a little bit off. So the next thing is to find alternator brackets for this and get the alternator mounted up. Hopefully it lines up with one of the crank pulleys, and then we'll get the water pump pulley aligned with it and get the fan mounted, and then hopefully the fan is close enough to the radiator to cool the engine. So until next time, I'm back to eBay to try to find out what I need to make this work.